Hi everyone. This is the third practice problem for this section. It says, given the function f of x equal to 4x minus 10, find the total area between f of x and the x-axis over the interval from -1 to 4. So I sketched the graph of f of x. So it's a line, it's going to cross the y-axis at -10 and have a slope of 1. And the interval is from -1 to 4. And we want to find the total area between the function and the x-axis. So we have two triangles here. We have that triangle that's above the x-axis and then this triangle that's below the x-axis. But the problem is asking us for the total area. So I'm going to call this area 1 and this area 2. And so the total area is going to be the area 1 plus area 2. Well, they're both triangles. In order to find the area of a triangle, we're going to use 1/2 base times height. And I need to be able to figure out the base, which means I need to know where this function crosses the x-axis. So if I want to find out where f of x equaling 4x minus 10 crosses the x-axis, I set this equal to 0 and solve for x. So if we add the 10 divided by 4, we'll get 10/4, or x equal to 5/2, which means that this value here is 5/2. So now I'm going to find both areas. So the first area, again, we're going to use 1/2 base times height. The base is going to be the distance between 4 and 5/2. So I'm going to take 4 minus 5/2. And the height is going to be the function evaluated at 4, because the height is here. So this is going to give me 1/2. If I find a common denominator between 4 and 5/2, I'll have 8/2 minus 5/2, which is 3/2. And then evaluate the function at 4, I'll have 4 times 4 minus 10, which is 16 minus 10, or 6. So I'll have 1/2 times 3/2 times 6. And this will give me 18/4, or 9/2. The second area is going to work very similarly. We're going to use the same formula, 1/2 base times height. The base now is going to be the distance between 5/2 and -1. So I'm going to take 5/2 minus -1. And then we're going to evaluate the function at -1. But this is a total area. I don't want the signed area, I want the total area. So I'm going to make sure that this has an absolute value. I don't want any negatives here. So we've got 1/2. If we do 5/2 plus 1, we get 7/2. And when we evaluate this function at -1, we'll get 4 times -1 minus 10. And then, like I said, we're going to make sure we keep the positive value there. So we're going to have 1/2 times 7/2. -4 minus 10 is -14, but the absolute value of -14 is +14. And then here, if we cross-cancel a 2 out, we will get 49/2, which means the total area is going to be 9/2 plus 49/2, which will be 58/2, or 29.